We are live in the Santan Valley. Tom D. Camillo along with Joe Carreiro. And this is Thursday afternoon. And what else is it? It's CAClive. We are live every Thursday from 2:30 to 3:30 in the Santan Valley. Joe Carreiro and myself talking about the happenings, the great, wonderful things that are going on at Central Arizona College this weekend. An exciting time of the year at any institution. It's graduation weekend. Central Arizona College actually has 3 graduations. They'll have the first graduation will be tomorrow night, Friday night, at the Aravaipa campus, and that'll take place at 6:30 p.m. And then on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock up at Apache Junction, the Superstition Mountain campus graduation will take place at 11 a.m. And then at 7 p.m. on Saturday night down at the Signal the other one was the Superstition Mountain campus. This one is the Signal Peak campus on Saturday night at 7 p.m., and that's an outdoor ceremony. In fact, 2 of the 3 are outdoors. One is at an indoor location, and it's an exciting time for graduates. And we have some. I know at the Superstition Mountain campus we have over 100 students graduating this year, and there's several hundred going to be graduating, obviously, down at the Signal Peak campus, and high numbers all the way around. So it's an exciting time, and today we have a couple of very special guests, and in the studio with us is Sharon Steinert, who's going to be the commencement speaker at the Superstition Mountain campus graduation on Saturday morning. And Sharon, a longtime employee of Central Arizona College, recently retired, and we're excited to have her in the studio because she's really part of the fabric of Pinell County, especially of the Apache Junction area. And Sharon, welcome to the program.
Thank you. My pleasure to be with you.
I know it's not often that you retire and get asked to come back to be a commencement speaker a year later. When you learned that you were being asked, how did you feel about that?
I couldn't have been more surprised. Certainly very honored. But like a bolt out of the blue, as they say, Tom is on the other end of the line and saying, "How about it? Are you interested?" And I said, "Well, of course I'm interested." And so, although I may have a few gray hairs trying to figure out what I'm going to say, I'm actually just excited as I can be about the opportunity to come back.
We're going to talk a lot about your community service and your involvement, and obviously you've been in the public for a number of years. Your last job at CAC was a community outreach coordinator type of position. But when you go to speak, and I know you've spoken at a lot of different type events, but when you're going to speak at a commencement, have you ever done that before?
No. Let me say that when I graduated from high school, I gave the student address.
Wow.
That was in 1964.
Okay.
So
you have to pull out your notes?
Long. In fact, I did. I went back and I found
great.
it and looked at that speech, and a lot of the things that one says when they're graduating from high school actually are applicable to any graduation at any time. So here it is, 2012. And I could probably give it again.
So without giving out too many secrets of your speech, in general, what are some of the things you focus on?
Well, certainly wanting to speak to the graduates, to celebrate with them this accomplishment that they have achieved. It's been a lot of hard work for them, and I certainly want to support them and appreciate what they've gone through. But I do want to challenge them that although this one door may be closing, there are new doors to be opened. And there are many things in this life that we can be passionate about, but they've already experienced what education has done for them. And so I would like to encourage them to help education flourish in Arizona and be able to pass it along and pay it forward, shall we say, to other generations coming after them.
You're going to talk about that in your speech. During your career, it sounds like you did that more on a hands-on in working with students. How important was that to you to be able to do that, to help students get through and kind of get to their goals?
Well, it certainly was a labor of love because each of the students that would come into my office needed extra support because they were not necessarily your typical college student coming right out of high school. Oftentimes in the program that I began at CAC under the Single Parent Homemaker program, we focused on women with children who needed to obtain some working skills, and or move on and get higher degrees if that was their choice. But you could see life changing dramatically for them before your very eyes. And all they needed was just a little extra support, whether it was guiding them through the process of becoming a college student, which can be a little confusing, but then also how were their classes going to get paid for? A grant helped with that. How were they going to get to campus? Well, if they had some sort of transportation, then we could help with a little gas money and even some child care. So in those early years, it meant everything to those students to be able to come to campus and take advantage of education that could better their lives and the lives of their children.
Did you, when you talk about this and you look back, do you think that the scariest part for many people coming to college, especially those coming back later in life and they have families or they're single parents, is just that first step, that first day, trying to get on the campus and not being afraid, walking in the door and getting somebody like you to help them? And that makes a huge difference?
Well, they've never seen themselves perhaps as a college student before. Maybe there were those in their world that said, well, you'll never amount to anything. A lot of domestic abuse can occur in families, or just emotional put-down experiences where they just never felt they were capable or smart enough to figure it out. But they just knew that they didn't want to be where they are currently. They wanted something better. And so I think that CAC has, with its open door policy, been a godsend to many families who've been raised up from poverty because of the education that our students have received.
You know, that's interesting. You said something that many of them probably didn't see themselves as a college student. But every person that walked in the door was a college student to you, whether they took a class or not. And that must have made a huge impact when you treated them that way. You must have seen the expression on their faces when you started talking to them, hey, you're going to get started here.
Exactly. The light bulb
goes on. Yeah.
There's your visual, where it is a moment in time that one never forgets, either if you're the student who says, I think I can do this, or if you're the person on the other side of the desk saying, you can do this. And so the students who were sitting there with me might have even had a couple children playing on the floor, but that was a new dawn for them and a new day that they probably will never forget.
It's amazing the impact. You worked at CC for 20 years. Now let's talk a little bit about your career. We were talking off the air before the show that you started at the Signal Peak campus for a few years and then transitioned up to the Superstition Mountain campus for most of your career. Last week we did a show talking about the transformation of the SMC campus and what's taking place up there. Take us back to what the Superstition Mountain campus was like when you first started.
When I began in 1990, after moving to Arizona, I, as you say, began at the Signal Peak campus, but the program that I started as a grant with CAC was exported then up to Superstition Mountain campus by 1991. And so I visited there at least twice a week. And at that point in time, although I was not permanent on that campus even yet, there have been so many changes that have occurred since those first days. Not only was it recently turned into a campus, but the progression of CAC in Apache Junction started in a trailer on the high school campus. And from there it went to the Grand Hotel for a bit, and then finally the college leased an RV repair mall. And so it had the cargo bays, if you want to call it that, the big overhead doors. We took over one of the four buildings there and tried very desperately to renovate it so that it was useful for about 8 classrooms and maybe 4 support offices. We had maybe, I want to say, 6 full-time instructors, if that, several part-time, but probably about 8 classrooms at that point. And so we were small, but committed and motivated to make the best of it that we possibly could. And it's kind of fun to look back on those days, because we used to register all of the students that came to that campus in 2 days.
Wow.
They would all come at the same time during those 2 days, and that was registration.
And this took place during the mid-'90s, roughly?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And was it a little bit hard at that time when you start on a high school campus with a trailer and then move into something that has basically shops or bays? Was it from an image standpoint? Was there any battles that you guys had to kind of with the community saying, "Hey, we are a college. We're getting there. This is just our start." How did you overcome that to get people to come?
It certainly was a challenge because, and I would say even to this day, there are some Apache Junction residents that don't even know they live in a college town. Yeah. But it certainly was working through the school district, letting the parents of the children know that there was opportunity there both for them and their children to come to a community college with a quality education. And so, and folks like myself who just went out in the community and started talking about what was there and what we had to offer. Of course, our students were wonderful ambassadors as well, because they would go home and tell others about how happy they were to be near home, could live at home, but attend college.
Was there a point in the 90s when you started to see a real transformation where it became sort of temporary to here's a campus? Because you'll look at, for those of us that weren't around, you wouldn't know. You knew that it probably wasn't a college at one time, but you wouldn't guess that it was probably a repair shop or an RV place. You have that courtyard, which is really nice through the middle of the campus. You go inside, you have some nice facilities. You have the radiology technology program that Frank Malika does, that whole transformation, the sonography program, the art area that you have. So was there a point that it really changed in your mind that you could say, wow, that this is when we kind of jumped off to where we are going now?
I think probably the latter part of the 90s would be considered a turning point, when we actually were able to build out into the other 3 buildings, because we only used them for storage.
So they were just there.
They were just there, and they looked for all the world like an RV repair shop. So we were kind of a commercial mall-looking affair. But when we started to do some painting and some renovation and moved more classrooms out into other buildings, we were able to start adding more programming. So we were huge with the community in computer education and training for jobs in the computer field. That became our first signature area of interest for people. The business program was strong then. And then I would say that the next real leap in our ability to attract attention was the introduction of the health careers and all of the program and all of the various majors and certificates that can be obtained. And you mentioned radiology as our latest claim to fame, including sonography. So we have developed programming that is thought of as very high quality. Our graduates, particularly out of those programs now in the health careers, find jobs because they are in demand. Their training has been rigorous enough so that hospitals and doctors' offices and the like look for our graduates.
So fast forward to today, and you retired last year, but obviously you live in the area and you see the transformation going on. You look at the building that they're building in Apache Junction for the SMC campus. You look at the geographic change of the campus itself. What does that mean? As a person that's embedded in that community, what does that mean for Apache Junction?
Apache Junction is very committed to elevating its image, both with its own citizens, but also with those around the valley who have heard and talked about Apache Junction in the past. We've been kind of a stagecoach outpost, as it were, in the minds of many. And so not that there's anything wrong with that. We'd like to capitalize on that image as well, but also show that we have culture, that we have education of its finest form in a brand new campus that is going to grace the downtown area. The City Council has taken the advice of a consulting firm that they employed to create a new downtown, and Central Arizona College is going to be one of the anchors of that new downtown, along with the first three-story building that was just put up not 1 year, exactly 1 year ago today. It was the dedication, and that was Mountain Health and Wellness. So we are on the map with two excellent organizations that are going to take Apache Junction much farther along the path that they have set for themselves.
So the transformation of Central Arizona College, the Superstition Mountain campus, is just not about the campus. It's about the whole area.
Absolutely. The economy of the area will depend greatly on the businesses, the industry, the citizens, the tourists, and the students that are attracted to the area. And certainly our trained workforce is important for companies that want to locate. And we think we have one of the most beautiful parts of the valley there to offer, along with all the historical and geological interest that comes with that particular part of the Superstition Mountains. So it is fitting that our Superstition Mountain campus should be one of the highlights, one of the jewels in the crown of Apache Junction.
Do you think it was really important to design a building like what's being built, very unique, as opposed to just a 3 or 4 story building? I mean, this building that's going up is quite unique. It's really 3 buildings sort of attached by the 2 buildings attached by a bridge with glass, and it reflects the Superstition Mountain. Do you think that was important to go that route as opposed to just a standard building?
I do. I think that it needs to be a conversation piece, and it certainly is. It's attracting attention from anyone who drives by, and certainly the community surrounding it are very, very proud of what CAC is building there. We are looking forward to the opportunity to, as community members, to come onto the campus and take advantage of whatever community events that can be held there. CAC has always been very gracious in providing meeting rooms and space for small conferences. So I can envision that CAC is going to be a major player in the community's effort to draw attention to the area, and it is exciting to see that copper gleaming in the desert sun, and especially around sunset. It is spectacular.
Well, I know people have called about the blue on it, and that's just a protective cover, so it's not going to be blue, but it's covering the copper temporarily as they peel it away. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to have Dr. Bob England join us. Dr. England is the director of the Maricopa County Department of Public Health. He will be the commencement speaker at the Signal Peak campus, and he was also recently the guest speaker at the CAC Wall of Success induction dinner back in November. And then we're going to talk more with Sharon about her background and also about her many, many different organizations and involvement in Pinell County and in the state of Arizona. You're listening to CAC Live on CAClive.com. We'll be back after this short break.
Are you experiencing computer problems? Is your computer running slow, bogged down with viruses and spyware? You need a reliable and knowledgeable, trustworthy computer service company. Contact Computers, Networks, and More, located in Santan Valley. Get your computer or laptop running in top condition by a certified technician with 20-plus years experience and beta tester from Microsoft. Computers, Networks, and More provides repairs and solutions to any computer-related issue, whether it's software, installation, troubleshooting, updates, or tune-ups. You can trust Computers, Networks, and More. Contact Jeff Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. to schedule an appointment. We can have you up and running quickly, usually within 48 hours. Located in Santan Valley. Computers, Networks, and More. We're here for you. Contact Jeff at 480-729-8899. That's 480-729-8899.
Do you feel like you keep talking and no one cares? Well, Brian Martin does. Every Thursday from 6 to 8 on CAClive. Politics, world leaders, who's good, who's bad. He'll be there to talk with you. Brian Martin on CAClive. Every Thursday from 6 to 8.
Our family pets are such a big part of our lives. That's why Kelly's Critter Clips of Queen Creek and Sun Lakes has been providing pet grooming services for over 10 years. Your dog's comfort is very important to us, so we take the time to treat your pet with care, love, and professional attention it deserves. We welcome any size and breed and feature shampoo and conditioning, styling, flea and tick dips, ear cleaning, nail trimming, and so many other services that will leave your pet looking good and smelling good and feeling great, all at an affordable price. Located in Queen Creek and Sun Lakes, call now for an appointment, 480-655-5066. Kelly's Critter Clips.
Welcome back to CAC Live. Tom D. Camillo along with Joe Carreiro. That's my favorite commercial, the critter clips. That's like awesome.
It's just a great place to go too.
It's great. Do you go there?
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm with
you
all
can
your
see
animals.
You can see my hair.
I'm talking about all your animals, the ostriches and the alpacas. Is that where they get clipped?
No, just the doggies.
Just the dogs. So, Tom D. Camillo, Joe Carreiro, we are live in the Santan Valley in the KQCK studios where it's graduation weekend at Central Arizona College. And in studio with us, we've been chatting with Sharon Steinert, recently retired from Central Arizona College, and has come back will be the guest commencement speaker on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock at Superstition Mountain campus graduation. And then on the phone, joining us live from Maricopa County, is Dr. Bob England. And Bob is the director of the Maricopa County Department of Public Health. Bob, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Now, Bob, I know you're a graduate of CAC. I know that back in November you came and were the guest speaker for the Wall of Success. You were a member of the Wall of Success. Can you just talk about what it means, to come back to a place that you went to school and being asked to be a commencement speaker?
Oh, it's really nice. Everything that the CAC community has been doing for me of late really feels good. Both the Wall of Success and being asked to do this talk. The CAC meant a lot to me back in the day, and it got me off on a really good start. And place, and I'm happy to be sharing a little bit with it now.
Let's talk about I asked Sharon the same question, so without giving too much away about what your speech's about, can you talk a little bit about just what kind of message will you deliver to the students?
Yeah, this is really tough. I keep flip-flopping on what I'm going to say, to tell you the truth. It's tough to try and be relevant to a new crop of grads. I graduated from CAC in '76, so 36 years ago. I've toyed around with telling stories of how different things were compared to now. But I think I'll just talk about how the place was a good preparation for me. It was a really needed step for me. I was really geeky kid coming out of high school. My parents had actually just moved to Casa Grande, and I followed them after I graduated from high school in Needles, California, of all places, an even smaller place than Casa Grande and Coolidge were at the time, although, of course, they were a lot smaller then than they are now. But it did so much to give me enough self-confidence to keep going and doing what I wanted to do with my life. And if I'd gone straight to ASU or the U of A, I think just the sheer size of the place would have eaten me alive. And what I want to tell the students, I think it's going to depend on where they're headed in life after this. There's certainly everybody has a role to play in society, and everybody should feel good having graduated from CAC about their future direction. But in particular, the ones who are going to go on to a 4-year school, I was really nervous about whether the place had prepared me well for further education, and I got to tell you, I think I got a better education there than I would have gotten if I'd gone, my first 2 years to the U of A.
That speaks volumes for somebody with a title of Director of Maricopa County Department of Public Health. That level position you have, you trace back to your career as a student at a community college, specifically Central Arizona College.
Yeah, it did. It did a lot for me. Just the fact that the faculty cared so much about you, and the administration cared so much about me, and they did what they needed to make the 2 years as good as they possibly could be for me. I kind of stumbled into CAC, not knowing what I was doing or picking, and it was a really, really fortunate coincidence for me.
Yeah, we have Sharon Steinert here with us. And Sharon, how important was it, especially back at the SMC campus, that the professors were engaged and caring, probably more so than a bigger university where you're in lecture rooms of 200 people? How important was it for CAC to be like that?
We had classrooms that probably had 12, 15 students in them on average. And can you imagine how much one-on-one attention you do get in that kind of a setting? But then, of course, we had students of various ages, 18 through 68 sometimes, and they all worked together to help each other. We didn't have tutoring at first, but all of the faculty members took extra time to work with student groups, study groups, and individuals to make sure that they got through. And I have heard right along throughout my career the same thing that Bob just said, that when our students go up to the university level, they feel as prepared or better prepared than their counterparts who have been at the universities their full 3-4 years.
Yeah, I just have to second that. I mean, I was an undergraduate. I was a chemistry major, and that's absolutely completely due to Richard O'Brien, who was the chemistry professor at CAC, who just turned me on to it and could explain things in a way that I never saw anybody else do. If I'd gone to the U of A, I'm pretty sure I would not have been a undergrad chemistry major, because you went from this class of 5 people in my organic chem class at CAC to lecture halls of hundreds, and an environment where the faculty didn't even know your name by the end of the semester. So it was just a completely different environment. And I may have been in the first year of the tutoring program at CAC, because I tutored there, and that actually probably did more for me than the actual classroom stuff, in terms of helping me think about how to explain things to my peers in a way that I still use to this day.
When you look back, Bob, on the Signal Peak campus, and then you having come back here this past November for the Wall of Success, Talk about the differences between when you went to school and now for many people that have never experienced CAC.
Well, it was a really young campus. I forget when was Signal Peak started? In late '60s?
Yeah, 69,
70.
Yeah, it's just had its 40th anniversary about 2 years ago.
Okay.
So it's So you were there probably the first 5 to 7 years that it was open.
Right, and it was still obviously being built. The faculty and the staff still obviously feeling their way along. It was a really small school. Not that it's huge now, and that's actually one of the best things about it, that it's not. But it just was a comfortable, supportive environment in a way that, boy, when I did go to the U of A after I transferred, that it just wasn't there. Not that the people at the U of A weren't trying and weren't good, but it's just so huge. It's just too easy to get lost in the crowd.
It's a culture shock going to a university that size.
It absolutely was, and coming from a little high school, I don't think I would have done nearly so well had I gone straight to one of the big state schools.
We're talking to Dr. Bob England from a CAC graduate and a commencement speaker at the Signal Peak campus this Saturday night. And also Sharon Steinert is in the studio with us. She'll be the commencement speaker on Saturday morning at the Superstition Mountain campus. Manny Chavez is going to be the commencement speaker at the Aravaipa campus. He couldn't join us today, but we're going to have him out this summer. He has a real interesting story of coming to become a teacher later in life. And you talk about all the great things that CAC has done. Bob, when you look at the Central Arizona College now, and you look at CAC building 2 new campuses, one in the city of Maricopa, one in the Santan Valley, the transformation going on at Aravaipa, the transformation going on at the Superstition Mountain campus, and you obviously didn't experience those because of your time there, but does it make you proud to see that this college is growing at such a rate?
Oh, sure. I mean, it's keeping pace with Pinal County. I mean, the growth rate in Central Arizona, even with the economic downturn, it's just such a much bigger community than it was when I was there. Having said that, the coolest thing about CAC was the individual attention and the dedication to, and it wasn't just the students who were going on to 4-year schools. I mean, I could see it in everybody that I was around there, that they were, it really did focus on being the best experience for each student that it could be. And I sound like a commercial here.
That's all right. We love commercials for CAC.
The thing I hope as it grows, and it inevitably has to grow, I'm pretty sure they're just as committed to it as they ever were, but I hope they always keep that individual level of commitment and never outgrow that, so to speak.
Bob, let's talk a little bit about your career as the director
Sure.
of Maricopa County Department of Public Health. How did you take us through your career? What did you do, and then eventually, how did you end up in this position?
I stumbled into everything I've done. I didn't start off with a plan, which is an important thing. I think most people, even if they do start off with a plan, they don't end up where they thought they were going to be, and they don't end up really following it. I went to med school, but that wasn't in the cards for me when I was at CAC. As a matter of fact, the first mention, I didn't know how docs were trained. I didn't have anybody in my family, who was in the medical field. So I first heard about it from a fellow student at CAC who called me the summer after we graduated and said, hey, you ought to check out the pre-professions office at the U of A when you get there, because we've already done most of the prerequisites. And she wound up going to veterinary school.
Wow.
So we, I just kind of thought about it, stumbled my way into it, got into medical school off the alternate list at the last minute, wound up from there in my third year of medical school, first hearing that there was such a thing as a residency in public health. And, backed my way through the whole process, and it's all worked out well. And that's one of the keys, is life just has a way of fixing your own ineptitudes. Things have just happened around me. I've been a public health doc my whole career. Love it. One of my passions is trying to explain public health issues in a way that anybody can understand, and that's what I mean by, CAC and the tutoring, and this sort of the way of explaining things is still with me. I've run a couple of different local health departments, one for a little town in Connecticut, 50,000 people, and one for now Maricopa County, which is the third largest local public health jurisdiction in the country.
Wow.
Where, in terms of number of population we serve, it's only behind New York City and Los Angeles County at nearly 4 million people now.
Wow.
So it's, and I love public health, and it's one of those careers where most of the time what you want to do you can't get done. Politics gets in the way, funding gets in the way, all sorts of practical issues get in the way, but when you do get a victory and something goes right, it affects a lot of people, and you can feel really good at the end of the day about what you did with your life.
It must be you must enjoy challenges, because working in that arena, there has to be a challenge every day. And knowing that when you deal in political sort of arenas and funding arenas, that you're not going to get a lot of wins.
Right. But that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, public health is public. And so, by definition, it responds to the will of the people through their elected representatives. So, I've worked for all kinds of elected officials and administrative, appointed officials throughout my whole career, and that's fine. That's the way it ought to be. I shouldn't get to do everything I want to do. On the flip side, there are so many things we can do to save people so much money. You can target particular vaccine efforts. I won't go through the whole story, but there's 1,600 people a year in this state who no longer get sick as a dog for a month every year from hepatitis A because of a vaccine requirement in child care centers, of all things. I mean, there are ways you can put evidence together, make decisions, get things done that can affect way more people than I ever could have being a doc in a clinic, for example.
When it's Joe Carreiro's got a picture of you up on, we're doing a live video feed as well. And when we did the Wall of Success, and we got basically headshots, portrait shots of individuals, it was really interesting, the photo you sent us, which was one of the best photos in terms of publicity. It's actually you getting I'm assuming it's a flu shot.
Yeah,
and that's a great image for the director of Maricopa County Department of Public Health to put that photo out of himself getting the flu shot. And
let me tell you something about flu. As long as I got my 30 seconds here to explain this, I got to tell people this, because this is something I preach from the pulpit every chance I get. Flu is a big deal. Flu kills a lot of people. Complications from flu kill hundreds of people up here in the valley every year, in a typical year. It costs us a ton of money. Anybody who's ever been around an emergency room or a clinic during cold and flu season knows how slammed they get. 200,000 hospitalizations a year in this country because of flu, and it is completely preventable. The way we have gotten rid of all those other, so-called childhood vaccine preventable diseases is we got enough people vaccinated to get something called herd immunity. Simply put, that means one person's germ has a hard enough time finding the next person to infect so that you never get outbreaks anymore.
Okay.
And I think that's beautiful, because what really protects you isn't so much the vaccines you got as the vaccines everybody around you got, because you never get exposed in the first place. Well, we can do that with flu just by vaccinating the people who spread the flu the most, and that's school kids. Kids in school, if we get 80% of school kids vaccinated, we'll take more than 90% of the flu away from everybody else, and we'll save hundreds of millions of dollars a year right here in Central Arizona doing it. We just have to figure out a way to get it done.
It's my wife.
Off my soapbox for now.
No, that's a great message, because my wife is a teacher and has teacher friends, and they get sick constantly from kids bringing that kind of thing into the classroom, and then they take it home to their families, and then it spreads like wildfire.
Right, and it's not the kids who, for the most part, get into serious trouble from the flu, although that happens sometimes with a diabetic or an asthmatic child. But it's mostly their grandparents.
Yes, exactly.
They spread it around to each other, and then they bring it home to Grandma and Grandpa, and they're the ones who can often die from it. It's not a simple, unimportant issue. We can do a lot, and it's low-hanging fruit. It's so simple. It's not the biggest health problem we face, but it's such an easy one to deal with. We've just got to get it done.
Bob, we appreciate you being on and joining us. We're looking forward to seeing you down at the Signal Peak campus on Saturday night. I do have to ask you one question. Is there a sense of irony that you grew up in Needles, California, and you became a doctor of public health? I figured somebody would have mentioned that to you somewhere along the line.
I grew up in a bunch of little places. I started off as a little kid near L.A., so that you can't say is little. But I lived in Kingman and then Needles, and then, like I said, my folks moved us to Casa Grande, and I'm better for it. I'm better for having lived around small towns around Arizona, I think.
Well, our community is better for it as well, and CAC is proud to have you as an alum, and we look forward to seeing you on Saturday night.
Cool.
All right, thanks, Dr. Bob England, joining us. Thanks, Bob, the Director of Maricopa County Department of Public Health, and he'll be a lot of fun on Saturday night when he gives his speech. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Sharon a little bit more about her involvement in the community, especially up in the Apache Junction area. I'm Tom D. Camillo, along with Joe Carreiro, and you're listening to CAC Live on CAClive.com.
Are you ready to start taking control of your future and maximize your earning potential? Central Arizona College has smaller class sizes and personalized attention to help you compete in today's tough job market. CAC now serves Santan Valley and Queen Creek. The CAC Santan Center is located in the shops at Copper Basin on Hunt Highway, behind Barrow's Pizza. Stop in and see how taking classes at CAC costs a fraction of a state university, and your credits can transfer. So, if you want to earn real money, you need to learn real skills at Central Arizona College. Enroll in classes today by calling 480-677-7825 or visit www.centralaz.edu or call 480-677-7825 or visit www.centralaz.edu. Central Arizona College, your way. When you visit Hill Family Dentistry in Santan Valley, dentist Dr. Tim Hill provides each patient with personalized, gentle care that you deserve. Our entire team is dedicated to providing you and your family with services that will make you smile, with a full range of general, cosmetic, and specialty dentistry services that will keep you and your family smiling. Our commitment to our community is to provide outstanding oral health. Hill Family Dentistry is located on 36359 Ganzel Road in Santan Valley, diagonally across from Banner Ironwood Hospital. Evening and weekend appointments available. We accept most insurances and have in-office policies available for non-insured. Contact us today at 480-588-8127. Hill Family Dentistry. Are you having plumbing or septic problems? No worries. Call Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Been in the Valley since 1996. Family owned and operated. Proudly serving East Valley and surrounding areas. With a full range of services from drain cleaning, septic tank pumping, general maintenance and repairs, inspections for the sale of your home. They provide excellent and courteous service for all your plumbing and septic needs. We're not satisfied till you are satisfied. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Call today. Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Contact Denise at 480-987-8051. That's 480-987-8051.
Welcome back to CAC Live. Tom D. Camillo, Joe Carreiro. We are live in the Santan Valley studios of KQCK. This is CAC Live, and we're celebrating graduation this weekend. And joining us on the show today, and we've had great conversation. I want to thank Dr. Bob England, who just joined us by phone from the Phoenix area. Sharon Steinert is in the studios with us right now. And Sharon, Sharon, I want to talk a little bit about your background. You talked about your years at CAC, but let's talk a little bit about you grew up in where? You were born in California, but you ended up going to school in North Dakota?
I did.
How did you end up in North Dakota from California?
Well, I'm a February-born baby boomer, the first of the baby boomers, and so I couldn't be much newer and much older, but definitely a baby boomer. And so my father was in the service, and when he left after World War II, he moved back to where he grew up, which was in North Dakota.
And then you went, is it Minot State University?
Minot State University for my bachelor's degree in education, and my hometown school, as it were. Actually, I went to high school right on the college campus.
Wow.
And our school was called Model because it was a training center for all the student teachers that were coming out of Minot State Teachers College at the time.
That was very common. I graduated from Westchester University, and it was Westchester State Teachers College, and there was a school an elementary school for all the teachers. We had this discussion with somebody else earlier about they were all normal schools, became state teacher colleges, and then transferred into universities eventually as they expanded their programs. Yes. So now, living in here, you live in East Mesa, is that where you live?
I do.
And real close to Apache Junction, but you're really involved in a lot of different things. And I noticed that you're now the president of the board of directors for Mountain Health and Wellness. Talk about that.
Mountain Health and Wellness is a new name for the organization. It used to be Superstition Mountain Mental Health. And probably in 1992, I became associated with the organization and have been on their board for many years. The presidency of the board certainly is quite an honor at a time when that organization has evolved into the forefront of the field of integrated health care. And so what we're going to be doing in the community, in the state of Arizona, and for the country is be a model program for how you can bring folks in for medical treatment and be able to offer them emotional behavioral health care at the same time, or if they come in for behavioral health care, we're able to offer them the physical health care right there on site in our new 3-story building in Apache Junction. We also have the behavioral health services in the San Pedro Valley, down by Aravaipa and San Manuel, and we also have services that we're providing in Yuma for behavioral health there. But the integrated model is so very new that the regulations have to be rewritten for us to be able to proceed and progress. And so In June, I'll be traveling to Washington, D.C. to assist in letting our legislators know what we need in the way of changes for this field.
Is sort of the mission of this this organization to really kind of treat the whole person and not let things slip through the cracks? I'm thinking about what happened yesterday with the NFL football player Junior Seau, where they're investigating obviously a possible suicide, and you hear them talking that the medical side they treated the injuries and that, but this side may have been something that what you're talking about is maybe help the person overall.
Absolutely. Body-mind connection. I think we know more and more about that now and are ready to accept that they have to work in tandem with one another for optimum health. For years we've known the Dr. Andrew Weil from U of A, right in our own state, in Tucson, who has promoted integrated medicine. Well, we're taking it a step farther in that we are not only integrating holistic practices, whether it be massage, meditation, herbal remedies, but also it's combining the ability of the behavioral health to receive the attention that it needs, along with the physical health needs of that they may have, because we do know that folks with behavioral health issues, whether they're chronic or just fleeting, can actually shorten a person's life dramatically.
Wow, this is really an important mission, and it sounds like it's something that you have a lot of passion about.
Absolutely. I did a term paper in high school about mental health, and for some reason, it's always been a strong interest of mine, probably why I eventually became an educational counselor.
And it says you are 21 years as a secondary school classroom teacher in California and Ohio. So what was that like, being a teacher for that long?
Well, interestingly enough, I thought I had a job when I drove out to California at 23 years of age. I had an aunt who lived there, but that was about my only connection, because over the phone, a superintendent said, "I have a job for you." Well, when I got there, they had given it away to someone else. So I was able to find another position and could stay for 4 years and did just that, teaching in the junior high, and found that to be an excellent preparation for the next level, which was moving to Ohio and teaching at the high school level. So I feel like I've graduated from junior high to high school to college.
The whole progression. Yeah.
I have indeed.
Let's talk a little bit about it. It says you're the co-founder and a past president and a current vice president of the Community Alliance Against Family Abuse Agency. Talk about that program.
Certainly, one of the things that we face every day is the news that a child or a person, a wife, a husband sometimes too, have been abused or severely harmed physically by domestic violence. And so, along with other community members and a good friend of mine who used to teach for CAC in the health careers in coding and billing. Her name was Jermaine Stedler, and she and I co-founded Community Alliance Against Family Abuse without ever doing a survey. We just knew that our community was hurting, and we had heard stories of women having to flee into the desert with their children when they were being abused and hiding in our desert. And so they needed a place to be safe. And so we began the process of now coming to the point where we have a 16-bed brand new women's shelter in Apache Junction.
So if there's women out there that are listening and need help, and now they don't realize that this is available to them, what do they need to? What can they do?
Certainly, we try to get information out wherever possible. Oftentimes, in locations such as women's restrooms, in the library, at DES offices, doctors' offices, dentists' offices, and in Apache Junction. We have a crisis line that we monitor 24 hours a day so that women can call there. And so I would urge them, if they don't have any other numbers to use, that they dial or call 480-982-0205. And their questions can be answered where they might be able to find services in their area. We serve the whole northern portion of Pinell County, from Queen Creek up to Apache Junction, from Superior to East Mesa. And but we work very closely with Against Abuse, our sister organization in Casa Grande, who takes care of a good bit of the rest of the county.
You've done numerous volunteer, done a lot of volunteer activities throughout your career, and in 2009 you were a recipient of an award from the St. Luke's Foundation from the state of Arizona. Explain what that was, what it's called.
What an honor that was. They provided a beautiful Kachina doll as our award. There were 10 of us, that were honored in 2009 at a gala extravaganza.
Wow. Where was that at?
That was at a resort in Scottsdale, and so we were very pleased to be a part of that evening. And the money raised then was distributed among our various charities that we had been awarded this honor for serving. And so it is one of the highlights of my life, I have to say.
That's a fantastic honor, and it's a testimony to all your volunteerism and everything that you give back to the community. There is one thing I want to ask you. You said you're a member of the Mesa City Band.
I am.
What do you play?
I play French horn. And
wow!
I have ever since I was in the seventh grade.
Wow.
And I just adore it. It's my one creative outlet. I don't paint, but and I don't sculpt, and I don't sing, but I love to play the French horn.
Has Rick Moore ever tried to tap you to come play with the band?
Actually, I'm trying to think back who was his predecessor, and I considered for a short period of time joining the CAC community band, but it was such a commute. I was already driving an hour each way to work at Signal Peak from Mesa, so it just didn't work out logistically.
Joe's Peacock is outside of here in the background. Every week he makes an appearance about this time, and he's approving the French horn.
Only on this show, though.
Only on this show.
Yeah,
it's every day, every week, about 3:25ish. He shows up. So it's amazing. Well, Sharon, it's really exciting that what's going to happen on Saturday morning at the Superstition Mountain campus, and at the graduation. I know that a lot of people are looking forward to it. You've done so much for the community. It must have been fun for you at CAC all these years.
Oh, it was, because as I worked for CAC and for CAC students, I was able to also be out in the community, and I'm just continuing doing what I was doing while I was employed. Just now I have a little more time to do it.
If you can pick, is there any one thing that satisfies? You look at your career at CAC. Is there anything that stands out? A moment, something that you would say is either a highlight, something that you were very proud of, satisfied with? Could be anything, even helping a student at a moment. Is there anything that sticks out?
I would probably say that it's the awards luncheon that we put on every year for the students, and to see them so proud to receive any of the awards that they have earned from their faculty, and it's an opportunity to celebrate them in a way that probably they'd never experienced before. And so it was the delight of my life to be able to work with the student government and create a fantasy world for those events. And I must say, we outdid ourselves some of those years in fantastic decorations. And so those memories particularly stand out in my mind.
It's one of those things when students go through and afterwards they always remember.
Mm-hmm.
They always
That's
remember,
what we hope.
remember those moments. Well, we look forward to hearing your speech on Saturday morning, and we appreciate you coming out here to the KQCK studios. And just congratulations again, and we'll see you on Saturday morning. I'd like to thank Dr. Bob England for joining us from Phoenix, and he will be speaking on Saturday night at the Signal Peak campus. Next week, joining us will be Luis Sanchez, along with Veronica Duran. Will be back, and Veronica, one of our most popular guests on the show. But they're going to talk about Central Arizona College and the First Step program, and we're going to have Ashton Graham on, who is a young lady that actually worked in my office. She graduated at the age of 18 from CAC, completed her while she was in high school, and now she's going on to grad school in Pennsylvania, and she just turned 21 years old. So she's going to talk about the program she used, especially the First Step program, and how high school students can get a jump on college. That'll be next Thursday, May 10th at 2:30 p.m. So for Sharon Steiner, for Bob England, for Joe Carreiro, I'm Tom D. Camillo. Thanks for listening to CAC Live. We'll talk to you next week.
Santan Motorsports, located in Queen Creek, specializes in off-road ATVs, dirt bikes, UTVs, side-by-sides, street bikes, and provides performance work. Santan Motorsports.